Hello and welcome to the first of these follow-along EFT tapping protocols. What we're working on today is fat loss, and more specifically the feelings of frustration and annoyance you get when you get derailed or you're doing really well and then some obstacle comes into your way and you find that you're set back slightly. So what we're going to talk about firstly is the actual points themselves that we're tapping on. Please do refer back to my previous video about how EFT works and the system itself. What we're going to start with is the points are very, very powerful. They're the kind of end points of major acupressure meridians. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the crown of the head. That's the 100 meeting point, and that is that's very much for releasing the inner critic, for people who've got lack of focus or that monkey mind, that gerbil wheel that keeps rotating around. Opening that and releasing those negative thoughts allows for more insight, intuition, clarity, connection, focus, wisdom, spiritual discernment, and more clarity. The next point would be here. It's just where the eyebrow ends and the kind of the bridge of the nose starts, and that is very much for the bladder meridian. It releases trauma, hurt, sadness, restlessness, impatience, frustration, and dread. When we've opened that, we really allow for inner peace and emotional healing. Then the next one is the side of the eye, which is, as you follow the eyebrow around, you'll find that it's a natural indentation. The points are really easy to find. So it's not the temple, and it's not right. They call it in the EFT books the side of the eye, but it's actually slightly back, and there's a little dent there. And that's for the gallbladder meridian, and that one is for rage and anger, resentment, fear of change, and muddled thinking. So you can start to see that EFT is the ultimate in bespoke and individualized therapy, because how you feel about fat loss or weight gain is going to be completely different from how everybody else feels about it. It's all unique and bespoke. Some people might be sad, disappointed, frustrated, angry, like, oh God, not again, or I never seem to make any progress. Whatever it is, nobody is diminishing it. It's your particular limiting belief, and it is only a belief. That's very important to remember. It's only a limiting belief. It's not a fact. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just a belief that you've somehow taken on board and run with. So the side of the eye, gallbladder meridian, and that when you release the energy there, that's for clarity, compassion, understanding. Clarity, compassion, understanding for you. You might suddenly get very emotional and think, God, I'm really hard on myself. And you might have a bit of a cry about it. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Because this is a storage of energy that's being kind of built up. It's behind a wall. It's like water just kind of building up. Eventually, it'll just crash forward. So, do be very compassionate towards yourself. Under the eye, so if I'm looking directly ahead, it's just there. And that point is the stomach meridian, and it releases fear, anxiety, worry, emptiness, nervousness, and disappointment. When we release that point, we under the eye, we allow for more contentment and calmness and feeling safe, that feeling like all is well. The next point is under the nose. Okay, and that is the governor meridian. So think of the Chinese acupressure points. There's a massive motorway. It runs from the base of your spine all the way across your head, and it ends here. So in Tai Chi, for example, anybody watching this who's done Tai Chi or Qigong knows that we place the tongue on the roof of the mouth to connect the governor and functional channels. So it's like a bridge, okay, on the motorway. So this one is for feelings of embarrassment, shame, guilt, grief, fear of ridicule, powerlessness, fear of failure, psychological reversals, and releasing the negative emotions there allows for self-empowerment, self-acceptance, and compassion, self-compassion. Under the mouth here, just above the chin, in that little divot under the lip, and just above the chin here is the beginning of the functional meridian, and that is that's very much related to confusion, uncertainty, embarrassment, shame, and second-guessing decisions that you've made. And when you release the energy there, you're going to feel more clarity, more self-confidence, more self-acceptance. The collarbone, this is slightly, so far you'll see they're all very easy to find. Collarbone's a little bit more tricky to get. What I would do is I'll bring my hand here and my elbow in, so you can really feel the bony portion of your collarbone, and your fingertip is underneath it, okay? Even though in the EFT books they call it the collarbone point, it's actually, I think it's kidney 36 if I'm right, and it is just under the collarbone and just to the side of the breastbone in that first rib point. So once again, your finger will slot neatly into that little divot, And that's a very good energetic point as well. So if you get that coffee and donuts feeling at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you're knackered, tapping there can actually really elevate energy, brings it more to the head. So that point is related to the adrenals, psychological reversal, worry, indecision, feeling stuck, and general stress. So a really, really useful point there. So when you tap on that, what you release is that you're going to find that you can move forward with ease, confidence, and clarity. Last point, is the spleen meridian. Once again, this one is you're going to the best way to find it is cup your hand underneath your armpit, and where your little finger is, that's the point on what we call the mid-axillary line. So that line from the shoulder to the hip, okay, the side of the body. So it's underneath the armpit, where the little finger is, that's the point, okay? For women, it's in line with the bra strap. Men, it's more in line with the nipples. And so you get the gist. So those are the points. And when you're tapping on the spleen point, you get rid of guilt, obsession, worry, feelings of hopelessness, insecurity, poor self-esteem, and it allows for clarity, confidence, relaxation, compassion for yourself and for others. So you can start to see that these points are very, very effective for creating very, very fast release of a lot of these emotions, and we'll feel them in regards to fat loss or anything, sports performance, or or our interaction and our relationship with others. So the first point we tap is the side of the hand, which we didn't do before, but this is the karate chop point, and this is where we set our intention. It also counts as something called psychological reversals. So it's anything that's holding you back that you may not be aware of. It kind of counters that. So you tap the side here, and you just tap it rhythmically, and you just say to yourself, even though I got off track with my fat loss goals, I accept myself and how I feel. Okay. So I don't know why that switched on. And now then you can say, and you can make this very bespoke. So, and don't worry if some of these terms don't ring true. Even though I'm really annoyed with myself and I feel frustrated with having fallen off my fat loss goals again, I accept myself and how I feel. And even though I always seem to repeat this pattern of getting on, then falling off track and off the wagon, I love and accept myself. Okay? So now we're going to go to the side of the eye and just tap rhythmically there, and you just say, I was doing so well. I was doing so well. Corner. Then I fell off track. Then I fell off track. Underneath the eye, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I am so disappointed with myself. I'm so disappointed with myself. Underneath, I've let myself down again. I've let myself down again. I have trouble sticking to things. I have trouble sticking and committing to things. Okay, now we go to the top of the head. It seemed harder for me than anyone else. It seems harder for me than anyone else. Now what I want you to do is something a bit different, okay? You might have already started to feel slightly different. It might have brought up a few emotions, good or bad. Don't worry, don't scale that. Now what I want you to do is really just tap on that point. Close your eyes for a second and think about how you feel when you fall off the wagon, how you feel when something trips you up, when you go out with friends and maybe you derail, or you feel like your discipline is lacking, okay? How does that make you feel? Don't worry about, the words. Okay, think about that for a few seconds. Now move to the corner of the eye, okay? And think how you react to that. What do you do? Are you one of these people? Keep tapping as you're doing it, and just close your eyes maybe and think, are you one of these people who's just like, oh, sod it, I messed up, might as well just, throw it out. I won't go to the gym, I won't do any training, I won't, eat nutritiously. Or do you feel annoyed and then you reboot? How do you deal with it? Okay. And now think about the pressure you've put yourself under. Okay, think about the pressure you've put yourself under. And the negative self-talk you have. Okay. And now tap underneath the nose and think, does it help? Does it help? Does that negative self-talk help you? If not, why not? Under your lip, and how does that feel? How does that negative self-talk make you feel? Now, I want you to go to the collarbone, and I want you to think about a time when you made a mistake about your health, when you made a decision related to your health that didn't work out. Did you feel defeated? Did it make you feel like you were a failure? Now we're going to go to that spleen point, and I want you to feel how you feel when you fall off track. What emotions do you feel, and are they supportive? Are those emotions supportive? Okay, take a break, have some water. Now we're going to work on some more positive reframes. Sometimes one of the big questions in EFT is, when do you move to the positive? Usually I would start with the negative, and when it feels very, very diminished, then I would move to positive. But, I'm not going to spend the next hour doing this. This is just really to give you an indication of how the system works. One of the things I would do is I'd wait till, let's say your feeling of annoyance with yourself was a 10, or an 8. You're like, I'm useless, I'm rubbish, I always fall off track, and you manage to diminish that down to a 3. That's when I'd move to the positive. Okay. And also make this your own. Like I said, I've kind of come up with a very broad overarching script in terms of some of the things that tend to affect people, but make it your own. So we're going to tap this point and say, I'm open to compassion and forgiveness for myself. I'm open to compassion and forgiveness for myself. Now moving to the side of the eye, punishing and criticizing myself hasn't helped. Punishing and criticizing myself hasn't helped. Underneath the eye, if punishing and criticizing myself had helped, I'd have reached my goals by now. If really being harsh on myself had helped, I would be there now. I would have achieved my goals. Okay, now under the nose, I relieve the pressure of being perfect. I relieve the pressure of being perfect. I relieve the pressure of being perfect. Now underneath your mouth, I focus on my next healthy choice. I focus on my next healthy choice. Okay, kidney point. Whether I make good decisions or bad, whether I make good decisions or bad, whether I make good decisions or bad, underneath the arm, I deserve my own kindness. Whether I make good decisions or bad, I deserve my own kindness. Top of the head, I deserve self-compassion. I deserve self-compassion. I deserve self-compassion. Okay, and relax. Now, I know that for a lot of you, that will feel weird. Number one, maybe articulating these things out loud might feel very strange. Tapping yourself while you're doing it may feel very odd. Like I said, refer back to the previous video to get more of an indication of why this works. But what I would say is, what harm is there? What harm is there? Just persevere with it and keep tapping those points, okay? You can get some very, very profound outcomes in your life. Take it from me. I credit emotional freedom technique with a very, very speedy recovery from my hip surgery. Okay, it was what was up here and in here that got me to where I wanted to be, and nothing. I haven't got any special powers physically, but what you've got in your brain is superior to anything else, any medical intervention. Bruce Lee said it himself. The mind is capable of overcoming anything, and that includes real physical pain. Lyme's disease, it was the final obstacle that I overcame. I had made all the right moves in terms of supplementation, diet, exercise, everything. And it was only when I heard, I think it was Dr. Thelma Jones made a comment in a podcast, and she said, it's only when you overcome and release these traumas in your life that you will actually make any headway in your health. And I thought to myself, that's a very profound statement. Charles Poliquin said it as well. He said, all chronic injuries are the result of an underpinning emotional trauma. Wow, that's huge. My Tai Chi instruction taught me the same. Qigong, all these things are locked in state. And your body is a locked in history of your emotional state. That's what my yoga instructor told me when I used to live in London, and that was a very profound turning point for me. Your body is a locked in history of your emotional state. So letting this go, so just as a quick recap, I was doing so well. I fell off track. I made a mistake. I'm disappointed with myself. These are the commonalities. I've let myself down again. It seems harder for me than anyone else. These are the emotions that we all have. What you have this amazing capacity for, and the tool which I've given you today, which in my opinion is priceless, is the ability to release that. Release it like that. I've seen people have very, very substantial alterations in the way they perceive the world and themselves. Really, very radically. Now, if you came out of it and thought, I didn't feel much, or I just feel a bit less stressed, that's the beginning. A little bit less stressed, okay? Let's think about that. You drop your cortisol 5-10%. Well, already the next meal you have, you're not going to absorb and store in the same way because you're less stressed. You're now in rest and digest rather than fight or flight. You've got a bit of self-compassion. You've cut yourself a little bit of slack. These things are huge, okay? They're huge. Just tapping, and you might just say, well, Alan, I didn't have this major woo-woo moment where I suddenly saw myself at 8 being bullied in the playground, and that's why I like Jaffa cakes. I'm not. You might just think, I feel more relaxed or more at ease with myself. That's already huge. We spend so much time in that sympathetic nervous system state, and this takes us back to ourselves, our connection with others, our love, our compassion. And before you can feel compassion and love for anybody else, you need to feel it for yourself. You need to feel it for yourself. I'll be honest. With me, the Lyme disease, I know one of the biggest obstacles I came over was I'm Superman. I can't get ill. What? And that was, recognizing that the fragility of humanity, that I am just human and that I should cut myself some slack, was a huge, huge moment of forward motion for me. From there on, I made very, very rapid improvements in my own health. So we started with something that everybody can everybody can get on board with, fat loss. And, like I said, I think as PTs, coaches and nutritionists, we've got it completely the wrong way around. Love yourself first, then you'll start making good decisions, not, my personal trainer's telling me eat more kale. Okay. Then when I'm now lost my weight, I will then love myself. No, you've got it the wrong way around. Love yourself, then you start to make better decisions in alignment with that. Okay. Anyway, that is the end of that. Please do give me some feedback. If you like these clips, if you find them useful, I can make them shorter. I can make them longer, no doubt. But have a lovely weekend. Hope that a lot of you found this of use. And I wish you all the very best. Take care. Bye.